Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to share with you some Microsoft Word tips, and these are tips specifically for writing a literature review, maybe a research paper, PhD thesis, master's dissertation, these kind of documents. This is really what I'm aiming for here. So let's get on with this. I'm showing you my paper here. So this is one of my papers, and I'm going to use it as a base. And the very first thing I want to show you is how to use styles and how to create a table of contents. I think that's absolutely key with any long document. So let's get on with this. The first thing we're going to do is we play with styles. So I'm going to open the styles and I'm going to make this abstract as heading 1. Okay. And to be honest, I don't really like this style. I don't like the way this abstract looks now. So I'm going to modify it here, and I'm going to change the color to black. And everything else is in Times New Roman, so I'm going to have it the same size and the same font. Yeah, and now this abstract doesn't really look but different from anything else. And it does work as a heading because I can close open this section. And I'm going to do exactly the same to this introduction here. And then I'm scrolling down and we should have a results section. There you go. So I'm going to do the same. And then we have this subsection here, and I'm going to make it heading 2. Okay, and I will also modify it so you get to see it one more time how I do it. So you can do lots of different things here. I'm just doing the simple stuff which most people would do, but you could also play here with what the style should be based on and what style can follow and so on. So now we have all of that. So yes, this works nicely as a heading. This works as a subheading as well. And the reason why I've done it is because you need these subheadings for a table of contents. And now I'm going to create space here, and I'm going to insert here table of contents. So you actually need to go to references. So here you have table of contents, and we have these multiple inbuilt table of contents, and I'm just going to pick the first one. It doesn't really matter which one you're going to choose. But look, now it's showing me the abstract, introduction, results, and this one additional subheading here. And essentially, the point is, as you are creating these documents, this is how you can easily, very effortlessly create the table of contents. And I'm going to show you why it's so useful. Simply because you can update this as you go. So for example, we have this introduction here, but let's say I decide to change this to background. Something happens and I decide to change this to background. I go here, update table, tada. Now it's called background. I add subsections, subheadings. I can add, more levels of subheadings as well. All of this will get updated. The page numbers will get updated as well. It doesn't matter. As much as I change the text and I play around, this will always be updated. So this is one really, really useful thing about it. Okay, the next useful thing here that you can do is you can add figures and tables in exactly the same manner, right? So then you can make them interactive and you can essentially make it possible for yourself to update them quickly, so that even if you add more figures, more tables, you will never use them. You will never lose them, right? And the counting will always be updated. So to give an example, let's create space here to add table 1. So now we actually need to still stay in references, but go here to insert caption. And you can see there's a label here. So we have equation, figure, or table. So let's say we're going to add a table, but it all works in exactly the same way. And tada, there is table 1. But again, I don't like this style. This style is called caption, and I'm going to modify it again. So let's make it black. It's already Times New Roman, which is great. And let's make it font 12. Okay, oh, and it's also italicized, isn't it? So let's remove this as well. Ta-da. And that's done. And I'm gonna call it table 1 IPZ. Okay, and then, for example, in the text here, I would like to quote this table. Okay, what's the best way to do it? Add cross-reference. And now, look, I have different things here. I have footnotes, endnotes, equations, and at the end I have figures and tables. I select figures, and I have this table here available. Click Insert, Close, and I have this figure right here. Now, the way this works is that if I select this table 1, it will take me back down to where the actual table is. So that is really useful. That helps you to find figures, helps other people to navigate the document as well. But also, look, if I'm going to if I'm going to change anything here, add more figures, more tables, and so on, these two will always be linked. And I can also update them. So let's do that. So I'm going to insert another table here. So insert caption, table, and look, this is table 1, and this automatically became table 2. This one, if I click, it still takes me to table 2 here, even though the names are different. You see, they are linked. All I need to do is I just need to update this field. And now everything matches. Okay, the other really great tool is that I can also add a table of figures, a table of, well, a table of tables really. So this is where it is, again, in References tab. So I'm going to insert a table of contents, and this time it's going to be for a table. It can be for a figure equation as well, but I have 2 tables so far, so I'm going to do it for a table. Press OK, and look, now I have this here. Now again, for example, if I decide to change the name of that table, RTL 3 letters A, I come here, right click, update field, update entire table, OK, and look, everything's sorted, and it's nice and neat, and it just looks very, very professional and makes your life so much easier. Because, for example, later when looking through all of this, I can control click on table 1, and it will take me straight to the table 1. So this is fantastic. Okay, so I really like section view. So you have a few options here that come super useful. So the first one is new window. So if I open new window, it actually opened another window here. You can actually see this is number 2, right? So I have now 2 windows with exactly the same file. Now you can organize them yourself however you want, but if you go back to view, you can click arrange all, and now all of these are here. And now the beauty is that you can work in both of them at the same time, and you can have them open on different sections. So for example, if I wanted to copy something easily from here, or look at this text here and use this to write something there, right? Then, you know, it's really easy. I can use this as a template straight away. I don't have to go back and forth. The other thing that I want to point out is whatever I change in any of these versions changes in both. So for example, if I type hi everyone here, you can see it happens in both of them. If I go to the other one and I start deleting, it just works back and forth, right? So this is why it's so useful, and it's really helpful when you're reviewing the document and making edits. So I'm gonna close one of them now. Let's make this bigger. And another option here is split. Split is always also super useful, but and I think split is better if you have a single screen. New window is better if you have 2 screens. So look, it works exactly the same. I have 2 sections of a text, of the same text, which are independent, and I can change both of them at the same time in real life. And then once I finish with this, I can just click remove split, and that's it. Okay, so let's say you wanted to insert an actual table somewhere. Okay, so maybe here. Let's insert a table, and I'm gonna show you something, a really nice, neat trick to keep your tables nicely ordered. So what do we have? Insert table, and let's insert a big table. Okay, so this is a big table. I'm just gonna call the columns here from 1 to 4. And my point is, the problem is this table is split between 2 pages. And personally, I don't like that. Because then, you know, I read here, I know what these values are because I have these headers there. But then I scroll down and I don't really remember what is what here. And that's quite annoying. So what I would like to do is I would like to repeat these values here while using as little work as possible. So I'm going to highlight this section. Okay, now go to table properties, and I'm just going to look through them, and I'm going to row, and look, here is repeat as header row at the top of each page. Okay, so where I highlighted, I'm repeating as header row on the top of each page. Okay, and boom, now I have this repeated on both of them. So this is really useful. Now, if you don't want to do that, you could potentially just have this table on a single page if it fits on a single page. So let's say this is what you want to do, and then you can just insert a page break. Ta-da! Now it's on a single page, and as you can see that these numbers that were here in the middle now disappeared automatically. What if you'd like to make this landscape? So first of all, the first thing you want to do is you want to look at here, show and hide, well, show paragraph marks. Right, that's really useful. It's really useful to see this. So to make this table in landscape format, what you really need to do is you now need to go to layout. You really need to go to layout, and then you click breaks, and you have lots of different breaks. Now the break that you see here, this is just a page break. That's actually not what you want, because this is just a good break if all the pages are landscape or all the pages are vertical. If the orientation is going to change, what you want is the section break. So this one, next page. So I'm going to click this here, okay, and this was inserted on top here, and now I'm going to insert it after. I'm going to insert another one here after the end of that table. So let's go, breaks, next page. Ta-da! Okay, we have that. I'm gonna do now, and I'm going to highlight this, and I'm gonna click orientation landscape. There you go. What we've got is the previous page now is horizontal, this single page is landscape, and then it goes back to horizontal. And this might be really, really useful when you have large figures that you'd like to have them in the landscape orientation or large tables. So this is just a nice, really neat trick that makes your life way, way easier. Okay, so now let's go to the review section, and I'm going to show you a few cool things here. So what I like the most is this compare function. So this comes especially useful when you send your PhD thesis to a supervisor. So if you click compare, you can compare one version of a document to the other version of a document. So say your supervisor marks your PhD thesis or your literature review, whatever it is, and they don't use track changes. So you actually can't see what they really did. However, this is what you can do then. You can simply compare these two versions of these documents here. Also, on the other hand, if you do send your file to multiple examiners and they all send you back files with comments, you can combine all of these comments using this function, but makes it much easier as well. Also, for sharing purposes, you can click share here, and then using OneDrive, you can, and if you have your emails, you can share the document with them. It will be on the cloud. And then the beauty of this is you will see all of your changes in real life. And if both of you are logged in, working on the document, then you will see them here on top. So right now you can see my name there and my initials MJ, and then if your supervisor was here, you would see the initials here as well. And that's how it works. Okay, what else can I show you? So if you're working long hours, it is really useful to know that you can have dark mode here. So look, go to account and then office theme, and we can change the theme to black, for example. So if you're working long hours and your eyes are strained, you can definitely use this to relieve your eyes. Now, if you're worried about what this will look when it's printed, I'm gonna hit Control P, and you can see that it will print it, black and white, as you would expect. So that's really useful. There are more themes there. I'm just gonna show them. But yeah, we have black, dark, gray, white, colorful, use system settings, and so on. So I'll just go back to what we had, white, just for consistency, and let's go next. So another really cool thing is this format painter here. So for example, if you see something that you'd like to copy, a formatting that you'd like to copy, like here. So I need to highlight this first, click format painter, and now I can, for example, do the same to this section. Ta-da. Okay, this is quite nice. But if I wanted to copy this again, then I have to click format painter here, highlight the next section, and so on. But what I can do, which is much faster, is I can right now go Control-Shift-C, and I'm going to the next section, and I'm just going Control-Shift-V, and then again, and you can do it as many times as you want, but this is how it works. And it's just, but shortcut makes your life much easier. The other really useful thing is that you can copy multiple items at once. So first thing you need to do is you need to open the clipboard. So show clipboard. Yeah, my clipboard is empty right now. And for example, I'm just gonna copy this first line, Control C. It is here now. I'm gonna copy this one sentence, and then I'm gonna copy this line. And for example, I would like them to all be here. And I'm gonna click paste all. And look, I've got all of these pasted here. Well, it's not ideal because that results should be underneath, but these are the 3 lines that I actually copied. And that just makes your life much easier rather than just going back and forth to try to copy piece by piece after piece, essentially. Okay, then another cool thing is that this find and replace functions here. So if you try to find something, then whatever it is, it will just highlight it. So for example, the word results will just get highlighted in all the places where you can find it. But what is even better is this word replace. So for example, you can look for word results, and then replace it with something else. Even result, just that, and it will just, you can replace it automatically, replace all of them, you can replace them one by one, you can find all of the examples of results. So that's really useful. But I also tend to use it for these little annoying spaces. So for example, look, I'm just gonna introduce this here so you can see. I'm gonna take the marks off. Sometimes you have 2 spaces between words, and it actually just, you just can't see them, can you? Like sometimes it's really, really difficult to see them. But if I now try to go to, where is it? Replace. And I just hit space button twice here, replace with space here. And well, I'm gonna go find next. Okay, there was already one there. There is one there as well. One there. There's quite a few of them, isn't it? And you know, and I can just replace it, replace it, replace them all. And you know, there were 29 replacements. Job done. And then you know, it just looks a bit more professional. But the other thing that I really want to show you is that sometimes you have these phrases or words that you really want to stick together. So, for example, here, that's a good example. You have that K48 dash ubiquitination, and maybe, you know, I would like to keep it all together. So, the best way to keep these words together is to swap this dash for unbreakable dash. Okay? Well, sorry, to swap this hyphen for unbreakable hyphen. So, it is Control Shift hyphen, and now this is unbreakable. Now, you can also have unbreakable spaces. And sometimes, you know, you want to keep the numbers together or words together as well. Okay, so I'm going to use the unbreakable space here so that set X will always stay with that K48 ubiquitination. And I'm going to hit Control Shift space. And in this way, it will always be together. And just to show you one more time, I'm going to highlight here, Control Shift space, ta-da. All of this sticks together. If I click this to show the all the marks, you can actually see that you have these little hollow circles here in between these words, and normally between words you just have a dot. And this designates that these are unbreakable spaces, and these words will always travel together, will always be together. And that's really useful, especially for things like measurements. So for example, 5 kg, 250 centimeters, and so on, when you want the number and the unit to be together and don't be split in between two different pages. And then finally, I have Mendeley installed here, so I'm going to show you a little bit about Mendeley, which I find super, super useful. So this is Mendeley plugin here. I don't even have Mendeley open right now, but the point is that as I write, I can just add things. So let's say I want to add citation. So I'm going to look for myself. And yeah, for example, this is one of my papers. And now this citation should be added here. There you go. It is there now. And the beauty of this is that I can change it to anything I want. So for example, in the molecular cell style, this is what it should be like. In nucleic acids research, this is what it should be like. So, you know, there's the absolute beauty of that. So if you're applying to different journals, you're sending your paper, and you need to change the citation style, this is how you can do it really quickly. Then underneath, I'm gonna add another citation just as an example. So for example, Ray, yeah. There you go. Now I have these two papers here. And what I'm gonna do now is right underneath, I'm just going to insert a bibliography. And you can see as simple as that. Now, both of these papers are here in my bibliography. And they are also in the cell report style because this is what I selected. And you can see that they are alphabetically ordered as well, which is great. So I think this is what you need to know when writing literature review or a paper or a research thesis, master's dissertation. These are probably the most useful things that you will that will help you to proofread, to edit, and to review your document. And I hope they're going to help you and they're going to make your life so much easier. And if you benefit from this, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.